Greetings one and all. Super Tuesdays from the Holy Land, Holy Apple, the Holy Hilltop, Tal Binyamin. A beautiful, gorgeous day, as every day in the land of Israel is. But there are more gorgeous days, and that we have today. Really amazing. We are on the 9th day of Shvat, coming close to that holiday called Tu B'Shvat, the 15th day of the month of Shvat. Get your fruits ready to go. And we are on part 2. Trans-phobia or trans-gression. Part 2. Okay, now the last class that we left off, please listen to the first class. There's a lot of important information there on what's happening today on this issue all around the world. Not very good news, that's for sure, but we cannot put our heads in the sand and ignore what's going on in the world, and the Torah relates to all questions of life, and that's what we're trying to do our best here. Okay, last week at the end of our class, and we're going to take over from there, we spoke about what is the Torah outlook on changing of the sex, or sometimes hybrid. What is the Torah outlook on God's creation of the world? Do we participate? Do we change? Is this like a chess game where we move the pieces around? What's going on over here? So we quoted the Minchat Chinuch, Rabbi Yosef Babad of the Ukraine. We quoted the Ibn Ezra of Spain. We quoted the Yonatan ben Uziel on his commentary onto the Torah. Last but not least, today we will begin understanding the Torah outlook on life, on the world. Okay, this is going to be the commentary of Nachmanides, the Ramban, on the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 19. Easy to remember, 1919. The Ramban was around in the year 1194 in Spain. Okay, Nachmanides says the following: why is it forbidden to mix different species, breeds, in the plant and animal kingdom? We have 2 commandments that within the plant kingdom, fruit trees, etc., we're not allowed to mix, we're not allowed to hybrid different species in the plant kingdom and also in the animal kingdom. To this, the Nachmanides says the following: those that hybrid, mixed breed, are saying in essence that God did not create the world wholesome and complete, thus denying creation of our world by God. A person, once again, a person who comes and starts hybriding in the plant and animal kingdom, he is scoffing at God, saying that God's creation, God's world, is not wholesome and is not complete. We are complete. We are completing the world. We are going to hybrid various species together. We have to assist God in creating new species that God didn't think about it. This is a denial of God. A person that hybrids in the plant and animal kingdom, this is going against belief in God. Nothing more, nothing less. However, the Maharal, in his commentary on the Torah, Gur Aryeh, the same book, Leviticus 19:19. The Maharal's name was Rabbi Yehudah Levi. He questions these words of Nachmanides. I quote the Maharal, "Do not our sages proclaim that everything God created in 6 days needs fixing and completion? For example, God did not create males circumcised. Why not? If God created a complete world, then why were we not created with a circumcision already? Or let's say wheat. A person wants to make a cake. A person wants to bake bread. Why doesn't it come complete already? Why do I have to put it through a process? I have to go to the field and I have to take the wheat, and it goes through an entire process till we have the final product of bread or whatever baked goods we're interested in." Anyways, the Maharal gives his answer. Look it up over there. We're limited to time, so look it up over there. An interesting answer explaining Nachmanides. Explaining Nachmanides, not going against. So we see, on the other hand, that in general, there are many areas where God has given us the ball, so to speak. He's passed us the ball and asked us to complete the world that He created on purpose. A lot of things were made not complete in order to have us participate. So let's listen to a commentator on the commentator Nachmanides. Okay, an amazing commentary by a contemporary rabbi in New York. He has at least 10 books out on various subjects. An amazing Jewish scholar, a genius. His name is Rabbi Yaakov Kapil Schwartz. And he has a commentary, it's called Yekev Ephraim, on this verse, Leviticus 19:19. He explains that the Nachmanides is right on the mark. The fact that God left various aspects of life for us to complete and to fix, this is not, God forbid, a sign of deficiency whatsoever in God's creations of the world. The opposite is true. This shows God's supreme wisdom. This allows a human being to participate in the fixing of himself or herself. That is why it says in the Garden of Eden, a place of seemingly perfection, to work and to guard. To work, you're in a complete environment. You're in the Garden of Eden. You've reached the top. Like, where's there to go from here? No. Even in a place like the Garden of Eden, there's still perfection of ourselves. God has left in His tremendous insight and wisdom. He has left things on purpose for us to fill in the blanks and be a participant, be a team player, so to speak, partner with the one above. The process of a person perfecting themselves spiritually and physically is the purpose of creation. That's the whole purpose. If God wanted to make us complete, human beings complete, then there's no purpose for us. We're here for 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, 120 years, it doesn't matter. We're here to complete ourselves. However, to say that there is in creation something lacking or something missing in creation, and therefore I must, people, humans, come around saying, hey, you know, God, you forgot a few things here. And we come around, God forbid, and we say we must create we must create new creations, new species. This is a denial of God creating the world. When we have these two commandments, one of them is in the plant kingdom, hybriding various species of trees, etc., or in the animal kingdom, hybriding animals of different species together, trying to create a new species, a new type of face, as if God could not have done that himself. But God has his reasons why not to create such new species. There's reasons behind it. Stay away from those kind. This is the deep meaning of a blessing that we recite once a year. At the first day of Nisan begins. At the beginning of the spring, we say that God has not withheld from creation anything. He has created complete creatures and complete trees. So we say that blessing once a year. There is nothing that God has left in the world, in the creations, and he brings down complete creatures. So the commentary on Nachmanides, the Yekev Ephraim, he says an amazing line. Look at this blessing. We say it once a year. When trees begin to blossom in the spring, flowering, we say on one hand, God has created, has not withheld in the animal kingdom complete creatures. We're not allowed to hybrid. All the creatures that we see, there's a rhyme and a reason for them. There's a reason why they were created and not other types of mixed breeding. And also it says complete trees. This is the prohibition of mixing fruit tree species with species that are not similar. Okay. In fact, it is the opinion of most of the law commentators. This is brought down in the Jewish law book, Kaf HaChaim, on chapter 2, Or Chaim, chapter 226, law 11. The Kaf HaChaim says an amazing thing. This is the opinion of most of the commentators, that we do not say a blessing once a year over trees that are blossoming if they are hybrids, if they are mixed breeds. We do not say a blessing on something that goes against God's commandment of not hybriding. And listen to this. This is really wild. Nachmanides continues. Now we're back to Nachmanides. Nachmanides brings down in the name of the Kabbalists that every creature or living source on this earth has a spiritual source in the worlds of above. Every living source here in the world, it doesn't matter what kingdom you're from, the plant kingdom, the inanimate object kingdom, animals, human beings, whatever it might be, there are spiritual sources that connect us from below, from our world, to above, to the higher worlds. And therefore, by the way, this is brought down by the Breshit Rabbah, chapter 10, paragraph number 6, that everything in our world is being supported every second of our lifetime. Every single object of the world is supported by a heavenly source which is giving it, so to speak, its vitamins, its nourishment, its abundance, its blessings. And therefore, if one mixes different species in different kingdoms here below, this is a destruction of the heavenly, spiritual, and material blessings that are constantly coming down with this connection, this spiritual connection that we have, giving us our nutrition, our nourishment, our sustenance. Once we hybrid, we cut off the above, the heavenly sources which we are dependent on. Thus, this is a tremendous transgression. A person denies the creator of the world, God, and thus sees no connections between the lower worlds, our worlds, and the higher worlds, as if there is no connection. We are on our own, so to speak. We will create new species of trees or animals. So, those are the words of Nachmanides, and also the Yekev Ephraim. Okay. We must ask ourselves an important question here. Can this be? How can this be that okay, how could this be? Besides for the radical left's plan of pushing trans down our throats, and besides for the social contagion that is happening all over social media, all of this stuff, putting people in a frenzy. The social contagion has caught fire, especially amongst teenage females. So we have a political agenda. We have an agenda, my body, my choice. A denial of God. We have a battle royal going on. We have a jihad, a holy war between God's creations, male, female, and the transgression of the transgenders. And it's politically motivated. And there's the far left, lunatic left, and there's the social contagion. But with that, which are making a lot of noise, however, there is a very, very, very small minority of people that really suffer in their bodies. This is not a political agenda. This is not a war against God. My body, my choice. It's called gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria. These are a group of a small minority. How small they are, we'll get there in 1 second. These are people that since they were young, since they were little kids, did not feel comfortable in their bodies and are certain and are not willing to be talked out of it. We're talking about a young age, 3, 4, 5, and continuing, never backing down. This is also extremely, extremely rare. It occurs in 0.01% of the population, which means 1 person for every 10,000 people, or 10 people for every 100,000 people. So do the math. It's extremely rare. People that are really, really suffering. Not people that we're familiar with. People that in our times today, a person comes down, listen, I feel like I'm a boy. Okay, and they start them on the hormones. And they begin the transition period. They have puberty blockers. Amazing. No. People that we'll see that grow out of that. In yesteryear, when these children, later on teenagers, later on young adults, when the people that really had gender dysphoria, they were left alone. And when they were left alone, 88% of them, according to studies, 88% of them, without any intervention, grew out of that hole that they were in, that sewer that they were in. Oh, I'm a girl, but I really feel that I'm a male. Time went by, and then they began to feel comfortable. 88% of them, which is an amazing thing. Without any intervention, without reaffirming, they became comfortable with their gender, whether it was male or female. Okay, but still, how do we explain this on a spiritual level, on a Torah Jewish level? How do we explain gender dysphoria? Is it fathomable to believe that God would place a small percentage of the population into a no choice, no free choice, into a world of suffering? Is that a possibility? What happened to a foundation of life, of Judaism, of Torah, is free choice. It seems like there's a very small, maybe 12% of the population that have a serious gender dysphoria. They are in tremendous pain and suffering as their present gender. How can this be? How can we explain this? How can we begin? Now, none of us, we can't just always pull the bunny out of the hat. We have many possibilities. I'm sure there are many, many more possibilities. I'm just going to give a few possibilities. Are these the reasons, these specific people? I don't know. There are probably other reasons. But these are things to really think about. These are amazing sources to show how could this be that some of us, God forbid, might end up in this kind of dead-end situation of gender dysphoria, where if we don't transition, we think that by transitioning we will save ourselves. We won't, but we think. But if we follow the Torah, as we mentioned in last class, at least 9 prohibitions against such a surgery, totally forbidden by Judaism, by Torah. So how do we explain this minority of people that are really suffering? This is not political. This is not an agenda here. This is not the craziness that we've spoken the last 2 classes about what's going on today. Little kids, 6-year-olds. I think I'm a boy. I think I'm a girl. Okay. So let's get into the secrets of Torah. Number 1. How can this possibly be happening? Well, a person is in pain, is in suffering, and they want to change genders. How's this happening? Secrets of the Torah. Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai lived in 1900, passed away, in 1909. And he was from Iraq. He was one of the greatest rabbis of the Sephardic communities. He tells us the following. His name was Rabbi Yosef Chaim. In his book titled Od Yosef Chai, in the portion of the week of Deuteronomy, Ki Teitze, he says the following, listen closely to his words. A person who is not scrupulous to wear their own sex clothing, which is based on many, many secrets of the Torah. We spoke about it in both classes. There is a prohibition. One of the 9 of transitioning is a man is not allowed to adorn women's clothing, and the opposite, vice versa, is also so. So this Jewish law, this Torah law, contains many, many secrets. A person who is not careful, that is why there are many discussions, even on the joyous holiday of Purim. Is a person allowed to dress up? I mean, it's just like putting on a costume. It's a costume, it's not for real. Are you allowed, is a male allowed to put on a female, or a female allowed to? It is not a simple issue. Even on one day of the year, on the joyous Purim, when many people, they had too many drinks, it is not at all a simple question. But not for now to discuss. So, Ben Ish Chai is letting us in that there are tremendous secrets of the world that go behind the law of not adorning the other person's clothing. And such behavior, those that are not scrupulous with this commandment, such behavior causes these transgressors to return in reincarnation to the opposite sex. Amazing! That is an amazing, written 140 years ago or so. He was born in 1840, the Ben Ish Chai. An amazing thing. People come back in reincarnation, the opposite sex. They don't, and this is gender dysphoria. It's not really me. I'm not in it. How did I get in this body? You know how you got in this body? In a previous lifetime. When? I don't know. In a previous lifetime. Somewhere down, there was somebody connected to your soul, right? Because we know that there are 600,000 souls, but there are 14 million Jews. So how does that exactly, the math, how do you do the math? So we know that people are connected through the souls. It could be one soul for 500 people. And that's why people feel connections to certain people and less of a connection to other people. So, a person that was not careful in wearing, a male wearing male clothes, a female wearing female clothes, many of them will have to return in reincarnation. Now let me tell you, Rabbi Chaim Vital, the prize student of the Arizal, says in his book, The Laws of Lost and Found, Returning Objects, chapter 259, he says the worst thing you could think about, you could think about suffering in this world, you could think about poverty, hunger, starvation, you could think a lot of bad things. All of those terrible things you could think about in this world are better than having to come back in a reincarnation to fix various transgressions. There we go again, transgressions. Very interesting. How those that transgressed come back as the transgender. Very interesting. So that's the last thing we want to do is not finish business in this world and have to come back. We could talk a lot of stuff in the Torah where people were reincarnated and what they went through the second time around or the third time. It could be a couple of times around. Okay, so that is the tremendous, tremendous secret by the Ben Ish Chai. The Rabbi Yecheskel Halberstam, he was the Tzan's Rebbe, and he has a book out. It's called Divrei Yecheskel, on page 91. He quotes Rabbi Natan Adler, who was a Cohen, a priest. Rabbi Natan Adler was the rabbi, was the teacher, the mentor of the Chatam Sofer, one of Hungary's great Torah luminaries, who lived approximately 230 years ago. So in the name of Rabbi Natan Adler, listen to this. Rabbi Halberstam writes in his commentary on the Torah, based on the verse of 22:5, not switching clothes. Men keep men's clothes, women women's clothes. A person who concentrates on thoughts of lust and wayward sexual behavior will reincarnate to the opposite sex. I read it again. An amazing thing. This gender dysphoria, people cannot take it. This is real. These are the real people. These are the 18%. These are the 18%. 88% of them, they work it out. They're fine. It's just a matter of time. You know, you think about life. How many people do we know that when they were kids, you know, some boys, they might have played with Barbie dolls, and you know, and they're the biggest like macho guys today, or girls that were tomboys, and they're the girliest girls today. Oh my God! If they were alive today, if they were not born 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, they would assign them a surgery, a transition surgery. It's like mind-boggling. Mind-boggling today. A person feels a little bit, hey, I feel like, you know, maybe I like ballet. Maybe I'm a girl. Maybe I'm really a girl. Oh, I like football. Maybe I'm a guy. It's gone berserk. So people with those kinds of lustful sexual thoughts, wayward sexual behavior, not healthy sexual behavior, those people come back, reincarnate to the opposite sex of who they really are. Folks, if you're still sitting down and you're not dancing around your house, this is amazing stuff. This is an amazing stuff. Okay. Moving right along. Moving right along. Rabbi Shalom Moshe Chai Gagin. He was the head of the Jerusalem court 240 years ago. He was also the head of the Kabbalistic community called Beit El in the old city of Jerusalem 240 years ago. He writes in his book, Sameach Nefesh, page 116. Check it out. He brings down from various sources, various sages, that there have been cases where men or women turn into the opposite sex naturally. That's amazing. And he even brings down, once again, this is 250 years ago, but he brings down from various medical doctor books of those days cases of people that not transition, not a surgery, and saying, oh, well, now because we put various, now that we change your bodily appearance, now you're a woman, but you're really a man. It's all exterior. We're going to give you a few organs, and you're going to be called now a man, or you're going to be called a woman. We're going to take away some various organs from you. So this is amazing. He brings down, in his book, check it out, he brings down various doctors of the time that also mention cases that happened. This can also be found in various books, that there were cases like this, amazing cases. Therefore, he says, did you ever think, why do males thank every day, why do we thank Hashem for not creating us like a female? It should be a blessing that we say once in a lifetime, okay? Because once you're created a male, that's it. You're not a female, and there's no transitioning in Torah outlooks. So why don't we just say the blessing one time? When you become 13, you're bar mitzvah, you'll say the blessing. When you're 12, you'll say the blessing that women say for God creating them at such a high level, higher than men. The reason why men say a blessing of not being women, because men have many, many more commandments than women do. We thank God for the commandments, the additional commandments that were given us. There's nothing chauvinist here. There's nothing unequal here about it. Everyone has their jobs to do. It doesn't matter if somebody did 3 jobs or somebody did 10 jobs. We need all of them in order to complete the pieces of the puzzle, in order to bring the light of the Messiah. Everyone has to do their part. It doesn't matter how many commandments I have or I'm commanded. Anyways, so therefore, he says, why do we say this blessing? Okay, he says, why do we say this blessing? Because there are 3 blessings that can fluctuate. We say them every single day. This is an amazing concept, folks. Put on that seatbelt, because we're going for a doozer here. So, he says the following, 3 blessings that we say. We thank God for creating us as a woman, or not creating us as a woman. We thank God for not making us a slave, and we thank God for not making us a Gentile. So those 3 things. And according to the Rabbi Shalom Gagin, and also this is also based on the holy Shlah HaKadosh in his amazing books, Shnei Luchot HaBrit. That's why it's called Shlah. They write that there are certain things that can fluctuate in life, and these are the 3 things. What? Fluctuate? Become a Gentile? I was born a Jew, and I'm going to somehow turn into a Gentile? Yeah, you got it, buddy. The Arizal says an amazing idea on this question. Why do we say this blessing every day? Say it once when you become 13 or 12. Thank God I'm a Jewish boy. Thank God I'm a Jewish girl. Oh yeah, not thank God I'm a country boy, but thank God I'm a Jewish boy. That was a Goldie. Yeah, John Denver. Okay, no extra charge for the singing over there. So, the Arizal says that many people go to sleep at night and they are given souls of Gentiles, various terrible things that they've done in life, and they did not repent. They go up and their Jewish soul is taken from them and replaced. This is like one of these transitioning. Man, you're transitioning here. And you're given a soul, a nephesh of a non-Jew. So therefore, every single day we got to say, thank God you haven't made me a Gentile, because it's not something that's static, that it's always that way. Some people lose it. I know that the Jews had a sticker, we never lost it, but we lose some of our people. Yeah, some of the people move over to the other, cross over to the other side. We've seen a lot of, sometimes the worst anti-Semites have been Jews themselves. Now you understand why. Also, to become a slave, that is not something that is permanent, that you're not a slave, because that's something that a person could be sold. Many people, live their lives. They were, in fact, elite people, and then a country was conquered, and they were sold into slavery. Many stories of Jews that were elite, top of the top, creme de la creme, and they were sold into slavery. So that's something that's something that fluctuates. So we have to thank God every day that we're not a slave. And of course, also that we're not a slave to our desires and to our weaknesses. That, of course, goes along with it. But this is pretty prophetic that also a woman, well, I would think that a woman, that, well, if you're a man, you're a man, and you're a woman, you're a woman. Could that change? Yeah. Comes Rabbi Gagan and says, yeah, that could change. That could change. We see cases where it happens naturally. These are not people that are psychotic. These are not people that are mental cases, that come today that we're dealing with. We're talking about, people that this happened to. So he says, yes, this could happen. So this could happen. And we see that, okay, this was like prophetic, that this prophesies this phenomena of men becoming women. This prophesies that phenomena thousands of years ago. This is brought down, these blessings are brought down in the Talmud. Okay, next. This is really an amazing thing. Listen up closely. This is important, day in and day out. The following secret of the Torah is from the Tikkunei Zohar Kadosh. It's the 70th Tikkun. It's on page 133, side A. Listen to this. There are about 5 pages there that the Tikkunei Zohar writes about various forbidden, unkosher relations that one might have with various populations. I'll get to that in a second. What type of populations are we talking about? But not only from without exterior populations, but also there are relations within a husband and a wife that are not proper either. The way that they are coming together, the way that they are uniting in a relationship, in a sexual relationship, is not kosher. So let's get to a few details here. Once again, 5 pages of this. There's a lot of different, I'm just touching on a few points over here, but really amazing. The Tikkunei Zohar is saying, okay, we'll give the end first, saying people that are not scrupulous and not careful with these sexual relations, they're in danger of having their gender switched in a reincarnation from a male to a female, from a female to a male. Gender dysphoria. Amazing. This is too amazing. Okay, so we're going to talk about 4 or 5 different things that he talks about to stay away from these. There's something called in the Talmud that it's called nashgaz. These are 4 types of illegal, illicit relationships that we should not partake. Number 1, if our wife is in a menstrual situation, we are not allowed to have relations, number 1. 2, having relations with in the day, various slaves. That could be women slaves or men slaves. Once again, Nashgaz stands, it's an acronym that stands for, the first one is Nida, the second one is Shivcha, the third is a Gimel, is a Goya, is a non-Jew having relations with non-Jews, and the last one, the Zayin of Nashgaz, is a prostitute having relations, sexual relations with prostitutes. Those four types of illegal combinations bring upon the possibility of a person having to come back and suffer in this world as a male, even though they were a female, or a female because they were a male. Those are things that lead to it. Also, between man and wife, we spoke about the spoke about the menstrual, but that could also be in certain times of Jewish history. That could also be with people that are not married. That's also a problem in certain times of history, which I will not go into right now. And hoping that we don't have any young audience here. But also the way that a couple unites together. There's certain ways of how a Jew, a male, a husband and wife, they get together. The males are supposed to be on top, and the females are supposed to be on the bottom. And those that reverse the order, women on top and men on the bottom, that causes a situation where a person's reincarnated into an opposite sex that they really are, to a female, to a male, to male, to a female. So this is amazing. Once again, I'm just giving the tip of the iceberg here. There's a lot of different types of illicit relations that he brings down the Tikkunei Zohar, which lead to, God forbid, gender dysphoria, I guess we would call it today. Okay, moving right along. Okay, we have 7 minutes to go here. I think that there will be a third class. We won't do it today. God willing, next week we will get together and do it. So let's go. So we at least get this one in. Up until now, we understand prohibitions, transgressions, got it. We spoke about a lot of different angles, got it. Forbidden, yes. The severity of it, not just from a Torah outlook, just life, what's going on. There are studies, check it out, there are studies in the Netherlands. They followed people for 20 years, these transgenders, they followed them. They have 19% higher chance of making suicide, of committing suicide. And there's a whole list of stuff that they're dealing with, you know. It's really, really tremendous that today, as we spoke about in the first class, we have the AAP, the giving out these hormones, testosterones, not asking questions. You have to affirm. If someone says, I'm really a girl, I'm a really boy, you just have to affirm it. We know the severity of our situation here, what's going on. People are having their children taken away from them, put up for abortion. People are being fined. People are being shut down. People are being closed down. People have lost their jobs for discussing this subject. Okay, we understand that. But what's the bottom line? A male that transitions into a female that transitions into a male, are they males or are they females? How does the Torah look? Okay, so let's talk about that. What's their situation? How do we look at these people? She's dressed like a girl, but he's really a man. I mean, he had a surgery. Okay, it is overwhelmingly agreed by Torah scholars that a person retains their biological sex. It doesn't matter how many, it doesn't matter, there's all types of surgeries that they do. I won't get into them. Not everybody, not every trans is the same situation. There's different, which we'll not get into here. But anyway you want to slice it, doesn't matter. We look at this person, if he was a male originally, he is a male. If she was a female, we look at her today, even though she's dressed in male clothes and she has a beard and she has a deep voice, she is looked as a woman. So therefore, by the way, God willing, I will try in the comment section below, I will try to give a partial list. When I say the overwhelmingly, I mean it, and I will give that list, God willing, bli neder, I will give in the comment section, look for the partial list of rabbinical scholars that agree that we look at their original biological sex. Therefore, okay, if a person was a male and then they transition to a female, that male is responsible for all commandments. All commandments of a male. Nothing has changed. You can't say, well, now, now I have less commandments because I'm a woman. No, you are responsible for all the commandments of a male. So, however, listen to this. If a man transitions into a woman, listen closely, there are additional laws. Not only, we don't only say that this person retains the laws of a male. He does. However, there are additional restrictions because of the surgery and because of the way that he now looks. He looks like a woman. You might not be able to detect that right away. So therefore, listen to this, listen to all of these new obligations. Besides for a male that transitioned into a female, he has to keep all the laws and commandments of a male. But besides for that, listen to this, because of the fact that he looks like a woman, we have to be strict in the following laws. Examples. For example, shaking his hand. If you're a male, even though he's really a male, you can't shake his hand because the way he looks like a woman, and that might bring sexual thoughts to a person, which are forbidden. Or you would not be allowed to hear this man, who now is a woman, singing. That would be kol isha, the voice of a woman. Now this man also, because he looks now like a woman, he must cover his hair because he looks like a woman, even though he's a man. Even though he has the laws of a man, he has additional commandments here because of this transitioning. And this man must dress modestly in order not to arouse males that don't know the person's story. So in all the above cases, shaking hands, singing, not allowed to be alone. A male, would not be allowed to be with another male that transitioned. Even though he's a male, we said that he has all the laws of the males. We still look at him as a male, that's true. But because of the fact that he looks like a female, we cannot be alone in order not to have sexual thoughts, etc. So therefore, because of these possibilities of lustful thoughts, sexual thoughts, we have to stay away. This is brought down in the following books. It's brought down in the book Asher Chanan, Questions and Answers, volume 6 and 7, page 4 to 37. It's written by Rabbi Hanan Aflalo. He is the head of the Jewish court in Cholon, contemporary. Or Questions and Answers in the book called Avnei Derech of Rabbi Elchanan Freenance. He's a contemporary also, volume 2, page 429. or the question and answer called Gamani Odecha by Rabbi Meir Siani, page 144, also a contemporary Torah scholar giant. They all write that the person retains the original status, biological status, male, male, female, female, but the problem with a male is once he becomes a female, so there are additional prohibitions that we have to be careful because of the way that he looks now, etc. So therefore there might be sexual thoughts. We must stay away from that. Don't go away. God willing, the last part, transgression or transgendering. Next week, God willing. Whoa.